everybody, and welcome to the Sovereign Village Project. I've been mulling over this topic for a couple of days before I made a video about it, and I just wanted to offer my thoughts on it regarding the Lieutenant Colonel in the Marines, Stuart Scheller, who recently made a couple of videos essentially saying that he was demanding accountability from his leadership in the military and the generals and the upper echelons of leadership for the debacle that is what happened in Afghanistan. And he became very upset, obviously, and essentially resigned his commission. And at the end of his, I believe at the end of his second video he put out, he said that if people followed him, he would F the whole system, essentially. It was a call to people to come to him and in one way or another, try to bring the system down. And so I just wanted to offer my random thoughts on that. Obviously, those of us who are very disenchanted with the entirety of the system, we tend to get excited when we see movements to secede from it, whether at a personal level or at a national level or at a military level. And we like to see people who are vocally expressing their disenchantment with the system. And that is how I felt watching it. However, there were some caveats, one of which is that it seems that those who pursue this ideology of global totalitarian control have been planning this for a long, probably unfathomably long time, this global takeover. And in doing so, they seem to be acting like chess players, anticipating the moves and the reactions of people and planning accordingly. And I can only believe that part of their plans are controlled opposition, much like we saw with the Q movement. Q was a movement that released a lot of actually accurate information as well as a lot of misinformation in order to obscure the truth and to draw people away. Remember, the Q movement told people to trust the plan and to basically spur them into inaction. So don't fight tyranny, don't stand up, just sit back, trust the plan, and wait for your hero to come and save you. So there was a clear purpose behind that movement. It was controlled opposition. When I see videos not being taken down and people vocally expressing that they want to mess with the system, that leads me to believe there's at least a good potential that those people could be controlled opposition. I do believe that in the next couple of years we will see an increase in that. We will see people who say, hey, I want to bring down the system, I want to stop this tyranny, this totalitarianism, and they will invite people to follow them and people will follow them, and they will probably achieve some success for a while. There will be a named movement, much like the Boogaloo movement. I believe that that was probably also a psyops and controlled opposition and a means of harvesting names and addresses. I believe we're going to see an increase in those movements, and I just want to encourage people to be very leery and very cautious about joining any named movements or following named leaders. My own personal philosophy is that, yes, I do not respect the federal government, meaning I do not abide by it. It's not my government. I did not agree to be governed by it. I do not consider myself an American citizen. I see them as basically an evil criminal organization that I have to deal with and contend with. However, I'm not trying to overthrow any governments. I'm not going to walk into Washington, D.C. because I don't care about Washington, D.C. What am I going to do with Washington, D.C.? It's a swamp. I don't want to grow anything there. What am I going to do with that city? Install a new government? Why? All governments are evil. Any kind of system built on violent oppression is evil, or violent aggression is wrong, and I'm not going to take part. And so I'm not going to take part in any kind of liberty movement that does not clearly express that they're not going to be forming another government. And as I've been really struggling with this issue of violence versus pacifism and what the correct response is to this totalitarian takeover, I've at least come to the conclusion that I'm really only going to be fighting for my community. I can't save the U.S. and there's no reason to, because a lot of citizens, a lot of people in the United States, they want totalitarianism. We saw people embrace lockdowns. They're embracing the concentration camps. They're embracing the restrictions on speech and the censorship. They love it. They loved tyranny. They crave that kind of slavery, and they want a system where they're just told what to do, they do it, and they get to hurt other people. And it seems like a majority of people are like that in the United States now. They've been so conditioned and brainwashed and propagandized, and the natural darkness within humanity is coming out. That's what we're seeing manifest itself. So, big national movements don't interest me. Also, while his points were really good and his frustrations are very understandable, he did not make a clear, concise case for liberty. He was just mad at his leadership and the failure in Afghanistan, and mad about watching his friends die for nothing. But he didn't express what his plan. He didn't say anything about liberty. He didn't say anything about a course of action that would actually work. It just seemed like he was angry and expressing that anger. So I wish him the best, and I hope he does well, and I hope he's protected. If he came to my house tomorrow and said, hey, the feds are after me, I would hide him. You know, like I'm on his side, but I'm not going to follow a leader like that. I'm probably not going to follow a lot of leaders at all. I want to see the tyrannical, illegitimate federal government brought down. I want to see that. I want that to happen. But I'm not going to take part in any revolutions. I'm just going to defend my community against any and all criminal organizations that use violence against people. Doesn't matter if it's a biker gang, doesn't matter if it's a federal government, doesn't matter if it's an international government, doesn't matter if it's the UN, doesn't matter if it's a corporation, it doesn't matter what this organization calls itself. Any organization that comes into my county, my area, and uses violence to take people's money, time, labor, or resources or land, that's my enemy, and that's who I will fight. But I'm not going to be joining any national movements, and I would encourage everyone to kind of maybe think about their own philosophy. I don't think anybody can tell you what to do in these times. We all have to make a choice. But the choice isn't just between apathy and allowing totalitarianism and joining some revolution. There are other options. And I'm really kind of embracing more of the Amish method lately of just not engaging with the system, with the addition perhaps of defending my community and defending my area and making it hard for criminal organizations to operate in this sphere, or making it unprofitable for them to operate also by being self-sufficient and not needing their services. So that's just my smattering of thoughts about the whole situation. I do think we'll see more of this. We'll see more military resigning. We'll start to see separatist movements. The balkanization is beginning, and it's going to happen, and the United States is probably going to collapse to some degree. I believe we're actually in the beginning of that process. So for me, my call is to prepare my family, to prepare my community, and to resist violent aggression within my sphere of influence. But again, I just have no interest in taking part in a revolution, because a revolution is a turn of the wheel, resetting, getting rid of one government and putting in another one. And I'm not going to be governed by anybody. All right, everybody, in the meantime, stay safe, be well, and happy homesteading.